It will be, and we'll see. Hopefully, we will have a Zoom that we are a recording that we can actually share compliantly. So, friends, as we were talking, this is an intro to an essential oils. We're calling it novice to natural because truly it is as simple as using a few products consistently for a few days with a commitment to learning that takes you from a novice to a natural with these products in no time. It can be overwhelming when you first get introduced to Young Living because we have so many amazing products, but we're going to break it down super simple, make it easy for you. So let me go ahead and share the screen so we can stay on track here. Uh, where'd it go? I just had it. There it is. Okay, sharing a portion of our screen. Okay. So we're going to go from novice to natural. I am sharing my screen, friends, so I cannot see the chat. However, we have amazing leaders on the call tonight. So if you have a question as I'm running through it, feel free to drop that question in the chat. If I'm probably going to answer before the end of the Zoom, but if it doesn't, don't worry, I'll come back and we'll go through the questions at the end. But tonight is our novice to natural. And as we were saying, this truly is meant to for everyone, especially the people who are brand new to taking a look at Young Living products. Maybe you've heard of essential oils, maybe you've even tried a few essential oils, but you've been less than impressed and you decided, let's give this Young Living stuff a try. Or maybe you haven't even started yet, and a friend of yours just invited you to take a look tonight. Thank you for trusting them enough to jump on and learn. We will make this time well worth your most valuable research, which is your time. And if you've been here a while, I hope that you drop in the comments some pearls of wisdom, your testimonial, your aha moment, because just like when we go to a convention or a wellness connection or our awaken tours or our experience young living days, it is truly the conversations that happen in between the education times that will stick with you forever. And it's the stories that we hear from each other. So the chat is not going to get recorded. So please share your testimonials there so that people can learn, so that we can all learn from each other. So, real quickly, my name is Yvonne. If you don't know me, I've been with Young Living for over 25 years. And every time I get to do an intro to essential oils, it almost kind of forces me to think of my journey with this company. And when I came in, to say I knew nothing is an overstatement. I knew less than nothing. In fact, I thought I knew something and found out later I didn't know anything. So that's how bad I was. So if you can relate to that, don't worry, you're in good company. We all have different, we are all at different layers and steps on this journey. My journey started with my sister introducing me to these oils and said, hey, you should really purchase some of these. And I did, not really knowing why, not truly understanding their potential, and certainly not thinking that access to these amazing little bottles was not only going to change my health, but it was going to change my financial future forever. So 25 years ago, I had literally no idea that this was going to change every area of my life. But when I say that it has changed every area of my life, I truly mean it. And my health is leaps and bounds. I'm obviously 25 years older than I was when I started. But friends, I can honestly tell you, I have never felt better in my life. Even my hormones are balanced out because of some of the new amazing products that Young Living has brought out. And I know that if you stick with it and if you dig into whatever is going on in your world, you'll find that these products can make a huge difference in your life. So before we jump into all the content tonight, I kind of just want to change our perspective a little bit. Sometimes, we focus, at least I do. I'm a data-driven kind of person. I love research, and sometimes I get so lost in the weeds, I kind of forget to bring my head up and go, "Oh, why do I even care?" Well, before we jump into it, I want to take you on this really quick little journey because understanding how we got here helps to explain why so many people are looking for something different today. You can't get on social media, watch the TV, hear a podcast without people saying they're looking for something different. They need a better solution. They need options. So let's think about this for a second. If you go back about 100 years, right? I know none of us on the call tonight can actually remember that. So we can kind of surmise based on history and if our parents, my parents were actually alive 100 years ago. So if you go back about 100 years ago, things looked very different than they do now. Cleaning was really simple. Vinegar, baking soda, maybe a little soap. Food, right, was whole food, which came from nearby farms, if not your backyard. Fragrance, right? Fragrance, when somebody said it was fragrance, it came from real things like flowers and herbs and wood and the outdoors. People weren't perfect back then, but they also weren't surrounded by thousands of synthetic chemicals in their daily environment. Now, fast forward to today. We've made incredible advances in convenience and technology and medicine. And I'm not saying we ever want to get rid of medicine or the advances we've made there. But let's face it, along the way, something has quietly changed and maybe not so quietly. Our homes became filled with products designed to make life easier: cleaners, air fresheners, personal care products, processed food, many of them created with synthetic compounds that didn't exist a century ago. And for a long time, we assumed if it's available, right, if it's sold on the shelves, it must be government approved and therefore it must be safe. Although beneficial at times, things that exist in today's world can expose us to toxins that were not around 100 years ago. When these toxins start to accumulate in our bodies, you start to experience symptoms of toxic overload, such as fatigue, insomnia, anxiety, depression, digestive issues, brain fog, skin issues, hormone disorders, among a whole host of other things. Now, interestingly enough, now that we're starting to see this different picture emerge, 100 years ago, people did suffer from those things, but it was normally people who worked in coal mines, who were working in the new steel mills, who were working in heavy factory, unprotected work environments, right? That they would because they didn't understand. Again, they didn't understand what was relegated to only a few people in a small demographic, right? They worked in really bad, poor conditions. We now, in every household across America and in most countries, we see that level of toxicity, not necessarily you work in the coal mines, you're filled with coal dust, but when you
I
step
use
back,
the
you start
balloon to let you know I got plastic.
you start to see that we are still inundated and exposed to heavy amounts of chemicals, synthetic petrochemicals, endocrine disruptors. Researchers are looking more closely at how repeated everyday exposure to certain chemicals, especially things like endocrine disruptors, carcinogens, are common things that you'll find in everything from food to your cleaning products, right? How being exposed to these repetitively may influence your body over time. Now, the thing about it is the hardest part it is it's not always immediate and often it's not obvious, but in subtle cumulative ways like affecting hormones, affecting your metabolism so you can't lose weight, and even how our genes are expressed, right? Unexplained allergies starting or intolerances popping up, right? What science is calling epigenetics now is really just chemicals found in the environments forcing genes in our bodies to either turn on or turn off erratically. So often, right, we've heard, oh, well, I'm sick because of my genes. And it's actually, we're starting to see through science that they're saying we all have a myriad of genes, but it's only 20% our genes and 80% the environment we expose our genes to. Our bodies are incredibly intelligent, but they're also constantly adapting to the environment we create for them. So when that environment changes, like our food or the air that we breathe or what we put on our skin, which gets absorbed into our blood, our bodies are forced to adapt. And sometimes it adapts in ways that we can't even understand. And I think that's where so many people are right now. They're not necessarily looking to go backwards, right? We don't want to go back to before we had modern medicine, but we're asking better questions. Questions like, what am I bringing into my home? What am I putting on and in my body? Is there a more natural way to support my health and my family? And that's exactly where essential oils and Young Living products come into this conversation because they represent something both ancient and incredibly relevant today. Plant-based solutions that have been used for centuries now being rediscovered in our modern world that is ready for something different. So let's start with some of the basics about what essential oils are and how they can actually help us. So in the short, essential oils are concentrated natural extracts from plants obtained through steam distillation and cold pressing, which captures their scents and beneficial properties. Okay, that really doesn't tell you a whole lot. So, what are they? Essential oils are concentrated plant extracts made up of aromatic compounds that plants produce for their own survival. These essential oils function much within our bodies or animals' bodies, just the way they do in the plants. And if it can help the plant survive, it can help us too. Now, these compounds can help plants protect itself, repair damage, communicate with its environment. And what's really interesting is that many of these same compounds interact with the human body in the same beneficial ways. For example, some support relaxation and stress reduction and inflammation balancing. Some compounds are naturally cleansing and purifying and getting rid of all the nasty things that we don't want. Some interact with the limbic system of the brain, which helps with our memory and emotions. There are hundreds of essential oils, not to mention the blends that you can make synergistically when you combine these individual essential oils, and all that expands their actions. Each single essential oil can have hundreds of compounds, and all of those individual compounds bring their unique qualities and benefits from their plant into us and into our cells. Now, each drop of essential oil from a pure premium essential oil and unadulterated essential oil can have thousands and thousands and thousands of molecules. What that means is one drop is incredibly potent. And so a little bit goes a long way. We'll talk about that when we get to the applications. But when I hold up a little bottle, this is a 5 ml bottle. There's about 85 drops of essential oils in there. You may look at that bottle and go, oh my gosh, I'm going to use that in one sitting. No, no, no. You're going to use one drop at a time, right? One drop at a time, especially if you're brand new. If you take nothing else from tonight, please take this. Low and slow is the way to start. So when we use these essential oils, remember you're not just smelling something that's nice, because truthfully, some of these don't smell very nice at all, although many of them smell actually beautiful. We're not just getting that beautiful scent though. We're interacting actually with the chemistry of the biology within that plant. You are actually connecting with nature itself and the energy that nature brings to us. Essential oils are that missing link that can bring the ancient wisdom into these modern times, and we will all benefit if we can do that. So, how do we get these essential oils? Well, it's for the most part, there are many different ways. Young Living, for the most part, has two main ways: steam distillation and cold pressing. So essential oils, when we get them through steam distillation and cold pressing, we get some of the most powerful and potent and the most pure essential oils. Now, steam distillation, that's the little graph on the bottom left-hand side. It uses heat and steam, and that heat and steam gently separates the oil from the plant material because it gets pushed up through the plant material in the vat, and that opens up all the pores. Heat makes plant or anything material expand, and when it expands, it releases the molecules of the essential oils. That essential oil goes up into this cooling coil, right? The steam with the essential oil on it goes into this cooling coil where it condenses, and that that vapor then becomes more like a water. Get it back into a water solution that goes into basically a glass vat, and the essential oils separate from the water. So the essential oil normally rises, and the water stays at the bottom, and they can skim that the essential oil off from the top, and that's how you get the purest essential oil. Now, that is the bite-sized, really tiny increment of what actually steam distillation is about. If you ever get a chance to go to a Young Living farm, please do. Distillation is as much an art as it is a science, and Young Living, Gary Young being the founder, is one of the truly the world's premier distillers in that has ever lived, and he has taught all of the individuals at Young Living how to properly distill. People come to Young Living to learn how to distill because we set the standards on how to actually get a pure and premium essential oil. There are a lot of ways companies can cheat in the distillation process. We can talk an entire hour about distillation cheating all in and of itself. Young Living does it right. So, what does it take to actually get some essential oils out of this steam distillation? It takes a huge amount of plant materials. Think of lavender, right? One of our most beloved essential oils. It takes 220 pounds of lavenders. Now, we're talking the petals. They just take the flowers to make lavender essential oil. 220 pounds of those little tiny lavender petals to get 7 pounds of oil. That's it. 220 of these little tiny little things to get 7 pounds of oil. It takes 60,000 rose blossoms. I don't even know. I think you'd have to fill up a 50-foot trailer or something with rose blossoms to get 1 ounce of rose essential oil. If you ever wonder why rose oil is such a coveted essential oil, that's it. Now, jasmine, one of my all-time favorite scents ever, hands down, it takes 8 million hand-picked blossoms. Yes, they have to hand-pick jasmine to produce 2.2 pounds of essential oils. Mind-boggling. And sometimes it's not even just the quantity that makes essential oils so incredible that we actually even can get them. Sandalwood trees need to be 30 years old and 30 feet tall before Young Living will even harvest them. So it's not like you're planting these things and you're going to go out next. It's not like, it's not like planting corn, right? You don't get it's planted in the spring and harvested in the fall. You got to wait 30 years. We're just now, your Young Living's just over 30 years old. They're just now able to harvest the trees that they were planting 30 some years ago. Palo Santo, another one of our sacred oils from Young Living. Palo Santo trees are so incredibly unique. They need to die and fall naturally, right? They can't even cut them down. You can't harvest them. And then they have to lay on the ground until the essential oil is actually released from the wood before it can even be distilled. You won't even get essential oils from that bark or that wood until the plant or the tree actually dies and sits long enough for it to release the oils. It's mind-boggling sometimes to me that we can even get essential oils at all. And all of this means that everything that goes into this process, and it matters. Every step, every moment, every understanding, every thought, every commitment to purity, every step of the way makes a difference between the product you and I get in the end. Now, the cold pressing, the little diagram on the right, this is for our citrus rinds: lemon, grapefruit, jade lemon, orange. Our citrus rind oils are cold pressed. They don't macerate up the rinds and then put it in a distiller. They actually put it in this mechanical press and they squash it. And that means we get that they just take the oil and it gets squeezed through the bottom. Now there's there's more than one difference, but there's one difference I always want to make sure if you're brand new that you think about when you're using essential oils. The steam distillation process, the molecules have to be so small, right, to actually survive the distillation process, to actually get into that cooling vat to separate from the water, because face it, it has to be able to light enough and small enough to attach to steam, right? Very small. So really, it's very hard to actually have an allergen actually transfer into the steam distillation. So not to get into the science of it, it takes a slightly larger molecule to have a true allergen, to the protein size molecule to get into the essential oil that's been steam distilled. If it's a true premium essential oil, if it's adulterated, well, we're not even talking about those tonight. If it's a true essential oil made the way Young Living makes theirs, it's we're a lot safer with that. Cold pressing, anything that can get pressed out of that within the fluid is going to make it into the essential oil. So what that means to me as a person who uses essential oils, if lavender, if I'm slightly allergic to a lavender plant, I can't necessarily go up and smell and inhale and take all the pollen and the large particles from a lavender plant. If I'm slightly allergic to lavender, the essential oil, it's a very minimal chance that I'd actually have a reaction to lavender essential oil. However, if I'm allergic to anything in the rind of a lemon peel, I will absolutely be allergic to that lemon essential oil. So we do have to be a little more cautious when we're using citrus essential oils. They can cause a little bit of photosensitivity. If somebody is allergic to lemon rind, they can still have a little bit of an allergic reaction. So we just want to remember that as we're starting out our oily journey. Most of the time, you're going to hear that, the essential oils are really safe and very obviously they're very pure. But that doesn't mean that we can't still sometimes have a reaction to them. So it is always a good idea to understand the plant the plant and how that essential oil is actually produced. Now, here's one of the biggest things that I hope matters to everybody on this call tonight, which is purity. This is what sets Young Living apart. And thinking about this is what we need to cover is how much when we were looking at the plants on that last slide, right? Talking about, needing so much plant material to get like an ounce of rose. Many companies, they just won't go through all that. They are not producing essential oils to hit that grade A essential oil. This pyramid is basically showing you essential oils available throughout the world. There's a debate. There's 4 or 5 levels. Whether you consider there's 5 levels or 4, that's up for debate. What's not up for debate is that very top section, that grade A section, or what we call premium essential oils. Less than 10% available of the essential oils available in the entire world are actually what we call premium or pure or grade A essential oils. The reason being, I honestly don't think that's necessarily a nefarious thing. Most people out there are using essential oils for non-premium uses. Many companies are using essential oils simply because they have a little bit better smell than the chemicals that are in the product. And so they're trying to cover up another scent. They're not trying to make a cellular change in our body, right? They're not trying to actually help the body function better. So they actually don't care. And to be quite blunt, it's really an expensive process to get pure premium essential oils out. And so most companies just aren't going to do that. They're just not going to go through the headaches and the cost to get an oil that all they really care about is, does it smell good, or does it taste good? They're not looking for the same things that we who are purchasing Young Living oils are looking for. There's an entire book. I don't know if you can see it since I'm on a little screen. This is Essential Oils Desk Reference or Reference Guide. This is available from seedsoftime.com. If somebody could put that in the chat, that'd be great. Seedsoftime.com. If you have any questions about premium essential oils, I highly encourage you to get this book. It is amazing. I use it every day. I refer to it often, and you can read all about the different grades of essential oils that are available out there on the market and why you want to make sure that you have the purest essential oils. Now, just to bring this to light without going deep into the science, there's actually a debate on the word natural in the essential oil and the aromatherapy world. I actually learned about this from the Pacific Institute of Aromatherapy. This is nothing to do with Young Living. This is an actual debate that goes through companies. Some companies think that as long as a compound can be found in an oil, an essential oil, that oil can be called natural. Other companies stand on if that compound didn't come from that distillation and that actual plant, it cannot be called natural. So the companies who think natural just means that any compound in that oil could be naturally derived from that plant. They think that if they make a synthetic version of that compound and add it to the essential oil, it can still be called natural. What does that mean? So let's say linalool is found in lavender essential oil in small amounts. Let's say they took a distillation of a subprime lavender, they ran it through their tests and they said, "Ooh, this lavender is off a little bit. It doesn't have enough linalool in it." Wait a minute, don't worry. We have some synthetic linalool that we manufactured for other things. We'll just add a little bit to our essential oil because linalool can naturally be found in lavender essential oil. We'll still market this as natural. In our books, in Young Living's books, that is not natural. Young Living's definition of a natural and premium essential oil is that when they take that plant and they distill it, the thing that they test and determine if it's an essential oil that meets our requirements came out of that distillation of that plant. It means that we don't add in anything to make that essential oil right. So when there is a discrepancy, when there's an argument within an industry of what the word natural means, that's just a red flag to me saying, okay, we really need to be able to know our source. Because if we can't trust what we're getting so you can pick up a bottle that says natural and pure based on the fact that they have a completely different understanding of what the word natural means than to what we think and what we want, makes me question everything outside of Young Living. So this is where Young Living's seed to seal process comes in. It's Young Living's commitment to sourcing the right plants to get the seeds, to growing those seeds in our own farms or our partner farms so they can control all the conditions, testing for the purity both in-house and through third party, maintaining strict standards from seed all the way to the sealed bottle that gets delivered into your home. So that when you're using those essential oils, that you can actually trust that what it's on the bottle is actually in the bottle. This is truly one of the very few companies that you can honestly trust because their definition of natural is actually natural. So how are the 3 ways we can actually use premium essential oils? And I'm going to say right here again, everything that we're talking about tonight is only for Young Living essential oils. I cannot represent any other essential oil. I can darn well tell you I will not ever put anything on topically or take it internally if it's not Young Living essential oil. The reason is, go back to the previous screen, see notes on what the definition of natural is to some other essential oil companies. So when we're talking topical, internal, or aromatic, please understand we're talking Young Living essential oils. If you have any other essential oils in your house, I am honestly begging you to throw them away. Now, quick note, so topical, internal, and aromatic, we're going to talk about them separately, but I want you to understand that topical and aromatically still gets into you internally. So if I put on an essential oil like I did right as we got started, I put it on topically, right? It absorbs into my largest organ of my body, which is my skin, and gets into my blood. Sometimes it actually is even more potent to put it on your skin than taking it actually internally, because we can sometimes lose a lot of essential oils to the acids in our stomach. So sometimes it's actually more potent to put it on topically. And every time you inhale, remember how small these molecules are. Every time you inhale, you get them down into your lungs and they cross the on the alveoli of your lungs, they cross into the blood and start traveling throughout. So while I'm talking about three separate uses, honestly, right now I just put this on topically, it's going internally, and I'm also getting it aromatically. So when you inhale an essential oil, those molecules travel through the nose and directly into the limbic system, which goes to the part of the brain that controls your emotions and your memory and even your stress responses. So aromatherapy can help calm you down. It can help you focus. It can trigger memories instantly. And there's the simplest way to use it, honestly, is to diffuse it right off of your skin, or you can use a diffuser. Most of the starter bundles with Young Living comes with a diffuser of many different types. I have 3 or 4 in my office here alone. So diffusing, just putting it out into the air is a great way to do it. Also, many people you'll see will walk around with different aromatherapy jewelry, little lava beads or little fabric balls that hold a little bit of the scent that they can inhale. Diffusion is a great way to use it because it gets it into the brain the quickest way to the seat of your emotions, which is your limbic region. And so it's a perfect way to work with mental clarity, emotions, and that calming effect that we often think of when we talk about aromatherapy. But what about other ways, right? Topical use. So when it's applied to the skin, the essential oils will be absorbed and interact locally and systemically. So it will work locally because it absorbs right into the area, goes through the fat tissues, gets into the all of the fascia, just all the local areas. But then it also gets into the blood and starts to travel throughout your entire system. That's why if you put peppermint on the bottom of your feet, 20 minutes later, you're probably going to taste peppermint on the back of your tongue. It starts to go through your whole body. Common areas to place it though is the back of the neck, the bottom of your feet, the lower region of your back along your spine, and of course any area of discomfort, right? I've been putting a bunch of essential oils on my wrist because my wrist has been hurting. So I put essential oils on my wrist. So a lot of times we will work with topical application for both local issues as well as systemic. So topical is probably one of the easiest ways if you're brand new to using essential oils, I think. And then we have internal. Now, again, all three ways gets the oils internal. But if we're working, like if I'm working with something like a digestive upset or, I'm kind of feeling a little off, often I'll want to get those oils internally so that I can support my entire digestive system and GI tract, which then will, affects all the areas of my body. So there's a few different ways to take these oils internally. You can put it right in a glass of water. You want to keep mixing because essential oils, while they are not like fatty oils, they are an oil in the fact that they don't mix with water. So an essential oil will kind of float to the top of your water if you just mix in the water. My favorite way to do is you go and you get empty veggie capsules, which you can get from Young Living, and you can also get it, from your favorite natural health store. Go get some organic veggie capsules, and I just like to put my essential oils directly in those capsules. Now, if you as you start out using essential oils internally, your insides may not quite be used to them, right? So like the first couple of times, the essential oils will try to change a little bit of the pH of your stomach the first time you take them internally. So you might want to put a little fatty oil, a little coconut oil, or a little olive oil in that veggie capsule just to kind of smooth the transition. But I promise you, if you start taking essential oils internally, you're going to find that your digestive system is going to love it. And again, with all three of those application methods, quality counts. So only Young Living essential oils. Now, we talked that these are very safe to start using, but we want to use, I actually don't refer to this necessarily as essential oil safety, but because we were recording it tonight, I decided to call it essential oil safety. What I call it is essential oil common sense. So as we start out using essential oils, I was told a horrifying story the other day. I don't know how it physically can be done, but somebody drank an entire 15 ml bottle of rosemary essential oil in one sitting. I honestly I can't figure out how it happened because I don't even know. I don't know. I always thought that that was an impossibility, that it was couldn't happen. I was proven wrong. This was a firsthand testimony, so it actually happened. So slow and low is the way we start. Even water can become a problem if we have too much of it, right? Same thing with essential oils. Start low and slow, 1 to 2 drops. You can always add more. When you use Young Living essential oils, they are very safe as long as you use common sense. If you're brand new to using essential oils, never be afraid to dilute it. In fact, with an organic fatty oil. In fact, there is some research that's suggesting that if you combine a pure premium essential oil with an organic fatty oil, depending upon the kind, it can actually enhance the absorption and the potency of that essential oil. When you think about it, it makes sense, especially if we're putting it on topically, because if I drop a little, I'm gonna have a lot of gratitude on me tonight. If I put that essential oil, drop it onto my skin, a lot of it, because it doesn't have a carrier oil with it, it might flash off and evaporate before it actually absorbs in, especially if I don't rub it in. If I put that essential oil on and then I put a fatty oil over it, coconut oil, jojoba oil, olive oil, as long as it's pure and organic, if I put that on over it, that fatty oil basically locks in those aromatic compounds so they'll absolutely absorb it and they won't simply flash off or evaporate. So you actually can end up getting more of your essential oils. So I highly encourage, especially if you're new and you're just starting out, go ahead and put some carrier oil on with your essential oil. You'll get to know over time, you'll go and you'll put, thieves, which has cinnamon, right? Cinnamon and clove, and sometimes that can be a little tingly to the skin. You'll put thieves on with a little fatty oil, and then you'll be like, oh, that didn't bother my skin at all. And then you'll find you're just going to be slapping thieves on without any carrier oil because your skin is fine. Starting conservatively with essential oils is never a bad idea. So again, low and slow. And now starting with a patch test is always a good idea. The inside of your forearm is a good place to test. Bottom of your feet, the skin is so thick and dense there. That's always a good place to apply oils if you're at all concerned. And oils that you would think maybe would be a little bit hot to our skin, oils that are kind of reactive. Think of like cinnamon, oregano, thyme, lemongrass. Lemongrass can be what we call a hot oil. There are certain oils that are just reactive. The thing to remember is they're not really damaging the skin. They're just causing a lot of commotion in that localized area. If you put a fatty oil on it, let's say you put some cinnamon bark on your skin and you're like, "Woo, that's hot. My skin's getting a little red." You take a little fatty oil, you put that on over it, you blend it together. That slows the absorption down, which is all you really need to do, and you're going to be fine. Now, there's a couple of big no-nos with essential oils. First of all, never put them in your eyes. It will burn like the dickens. Ask me how I know that. You don't want to do that. It's going to hurt, and there's just really no reason. If you want to put the oils around your eyes, I can tell you, I do it every day. This is frankincense and coconut oil, I think, or jojoba, and I just go around the eyes. That's it. Do raccoon eyes with your roller bottle. It's fabulous. If you want to help your eyesight, remember that little recipe too. So go ahead and just put roller bottles together and it will make it so easy. The other thing that you don't want to do, and this is really tempting with kids and animals, is to drip an essential oil directly into the eardrum. We don't want to do that because the essential oils can dry out and actually damage an eardrum if it reaches the eardrum in its full potency. So we want to make sure that we don't drip it down. Now, how do we avoid doing that? Well, simple. You just don't put it in the ear, you rub it around, right? I go hairline to hairline And this, because again, the essential oil absorbs through topically and stays local in that area. If I want to work on the ear, the ear canal, you just rub it around the ear. So if you want to get into an area, you simply you simply go around the area without putting that essential oil into those sensitive spots. So the other things to remember, children have very, very, very permeable skin, especially children usually under 6 is like the really big thing, but under 10 years old, their skin is very soft, much more porous. Their fatty tissues are not nearly as dense, and so they absorb way more. With children, we recommend to always dilute. Now, I will tell you, I know plenty of people who work with children from a day old. All my one sister's kids have had oils on since since they were a day old. So many people use these oils on their children. We just want to dilute so that it's always a comfortable and enjoyable experience. Same thing goes for small animals. We cover animals and oils in other areas, but we want to use the same thing. Safety with children, animals, and sometimes the elderly, because as we get older, our skin gets more delicate. And again, the fat tissues become less or more permeable, less resilient. And so sometimes the oils can become a little bit hotter. So again, common sense, we just want to keep diluting and using things in a slow manner. So if you have already started with Young Living, hopefully you've already picked up, probably this was the premium starter bundle. Hopefully you have a ton of essential oils. If you're brand new, if you're just getting started, or maybe you haven't even started yet, friends, you don't need to get 50 oils all at once. Now, you can if you want to, and I would never say that's a bad idea, but you don't need to because a few will go a really long way. We're not going to go into all of them. Again, highly recommend this book, right? The Essential Oil Desk Reference. But let's just talk about just a few of the top oils that most of us can't be without. First of all, lavender, Swiss Army knife of oils, right? It's calming, cooling the skin. It helps the skin and the emotions in the same way, right? It is the oil of relaxations. Now, research is showing that diffusing at night can also help to actually reduce cortisol levels as it helps to relax you so that you can sleep better. This oil is one to have on hand. It has such a wide variety of constituents in it that it offers a wide variety of benefits. I've used it when I've sprained my ankle. I have used it when I had a cat scratch my arm, and just I was dripping blood, and literally the only oil I could find it was lavender, and I put it on that cat scratch, and it stopped the bleeding right away and started helping to cleanse out that whole area. It's also my absolute first go-to when I want to calm a nervous animal or a child who's upset, if I want to help them calm down. It's always in my wellness kit for so many reasons. And I think you'll find that if anybody who's been around Young Living for a while, lavender is always going to be one of their go-tos. Even though it's one of the most standard oils out there, it is also one of the most valued. Now, peppermint is, I'm going to straight up honest, peppermint's actually not my favorite essential oil. It is really potent. Like one drop of peppermint essential oil would fill up. I would put one drop in a water bottle this size, and this is a huge water bottle. I It's just too much for me. So a little bit goes a long way. However, peppermint is one of the first things I go to when any of my animals have a gastric upset. If I ever need to cool my body temperature down, I put a drop or two on the bottom of my feet, and it instantly reduces my heat. Now, for somebody who has already gone through menopause, that's a really significant fact to remember. It's also really good when it's just a really hot day, and maybe if you have animals or kids that get overexcited, a little bit of peppermint in a spritzer bottle with some water is a great way to help the body cool down. Peppermint is one of those cooling and yet invigorating essential oils that has 1,000 uses. Now, one of the all-time favorites in Young Living, I always love it whenever I'm doing an expo or a vendor event, talking to people. I'll say, have you heard of Young Living? And they're like, nah, nah, I never heard of Young Living. And then they'll see Thieves. And they're like, oh, Thieves, I know Thieves. Of course, everybody knows Thieves, right? Thieves is nature just produced these essential oils that just kills everything that's just bad for us. And Gary Young put those essential oils into a bottle, and we have Thieves. Now, Thieves Essential Oils is one of our go-tos when it comes for immune support. It helps to support everything in the immune system. It helps to support a healthy respiratory system. It helps to maintain overall wellness when it's taken as a supplement, because you can take Thieves Essential Oil internally. It's one of my favorite ways to use it. And it has been studied for its ability to kill harmful airborne bacteria and yet is beneficial to your gut microbiota. I mean, that's crazy, right? It knows what to kill, but it knows what to not kill. This oil blend is an absolute must-have for so many of us. And it smells amazing. It smells like Christmas in a bottle. I know we have an oil called Christmas Spirit, but truly, cinnamon and clove and rosemary, it smells amazing, and it is such a powerhouse. I know most people will always have several bottles of Thieves on hand. And it's also one of those oils that you don't want to have to wait to get it. Like when you need it, you want it right with you. So it's always good to have it on hand. I love that if you got started with a premium starter bundle, it came in your premium starter bundle. I truly think every new member of Too Young Living should have lavender, frankincense, and Thieves right out the gate. Now, going with that, frankincense is another must-have to me. It's grounding, the benefits to the skin, and its DNA benefits are incredible. This oil is one, when I have horses, when any of my horses get a cut, it is the first oil that goes in there. It is always mixed with lavender, but it is the first oil that goes into any kind of wound care for me because of all of the amazing properties it has. Now, frankincense is one of the most widely and well studied essential oils out there. They are studying it for all of its capabilities. If you want to have some fun, go to PubMed.com and just look for the research that's been done on frankincense essential oil. Now, it's also a key ingredient in our blend called Brain Power, because it is high in what this chemical constituent called sesquiterpenes. And sesquiterpenes actually help to oxygenate the brain, for oversimplification, but that's basically what it does. So it's really great for mental alertness. So frankincense is one of those essential oils that you want to always have as your go-to. Frankincense, again, is one that I use topically. I use it aromatically, although not necessarily as much because it's such a valuable oil to me. And I take it internally, not every day, but most days. So I hope that out of all of the Young Living oils, that if you don't already have some, make sure you start with those four. They are going to be a game changer. And as we wrap up, I just want to touch on briefly, I don't know, maybe you came in with Ningxia Red, or maybe you're thinking about getting started with Balance and Burn. Young Living has a host of supplements. And why? Because Young Living is about our total body health. And while essential oils can be a massive factor, so taking supplements to help supplement a diet that, honestly, in this modern day and age, we can't necessarily get all of the nutrients that we need from our foods anymore. And with our modern lifestyle, it's just really very hard. And so taking supplements that actually deliver to our cells the nutrients that we actually need to not only just survive, but actually to thrive is crucial. And so Young Living has a wide variety of supplements. Please talk to the person who got you started with Young Living, because the amount of nutrition, remember back to the beginning of tonight's talk, we've changed a lot from where we are now to from where we were 100 years ago. Obviously, of all the chemicals that are in our environment, that's a huge change. But our nutrition may be the biggest change of all. And I didn't put it into tonight's PowerPoint. Probably should have, but I came across some research about 10 or 15 years ago. A nutrition school did this research on apples. And they said that it would take at that time, now that's 15 years ago, probably the research was actually from close to 20 years ago, that time, an apple that was grown, so let's say around 2000, 2005, had less than 50% of the nutrients that an apple that was grown in 1950 would have had. Truly, you would have had to eat 15 apples to get this. You would have gotten the same calories. I'm not talking the caloric intake, but the actual vitamins and minerals and all of the nutrients that are in that apple. We actually don't grow as nutritious of foods as we did in even the 1950s. And the 1950s had already gone with monocropping culture, farming practices that had already started to strip out the minerals from our land. In the United States, I don't know about other countries, but I do know that in the United States, we are truly entering into a crisis type zone because our dirt is actually not as nutritious. I know that's weird. Our dirt is actually not as nutritious as it was 50 to 100 years ago. We need to supplement just to get our bodies the nutrition that we actually developed counting on. So, as you get started with Young Living, as you start diving into using your essential oils, I highly encourage you to look at the supplements, talk to the people on your team with Young Living, see what they're using, see what they suggest. Listen to your body, listen to what's going on with your body, and really figure out what supplements will make a difference in your life. Because I promise when you supplement with Young Living supplements, your life and your health will change. So if you haven't gotten started, please just figure out which avenue you want to start with Young Living and talk to the person who invited you to tonight's webinar. Have them help you get started, have them go through the product catalog with you, figure out what's going to be best, which diffuser you want to have in your home, which essential oils you want to start taking internally and using topically, and have them help you get started. And once you get started, I really suggest you'll have an account with Young Living. There's an area on the top, and the person who helps you get started will be able to walk you through this. It says Share YL. Go into that, and there's going to be a little code. It'll just, if you go into this where it says Share YL, a little code's going to pop up, and it's going to be your personal referral link. You just hit copy that link, and then just save it onto your phone or save it onto your notepad or something. Because I can almost guarantee you, as you start talking about how you're feeling better, how you have more energy, how your hormones have balanced, how you're losing weight, how you're loving cleaning your house with the Thieves Household Cleaner line we didn't even talk about tonight. As you start talking about this, your family and friends are going to say, oh my gosh, I think I'd like to buy some of those Young Living products. Because Mary and Gary Young, the founders of this company, knew that the best way to help the most people learn about health, right? Not just to share these products. I mean, it's a great distribution model, but more importantly, they knew that people needed to learn from people who were doing the same thing as they want, right? We learn best from other people who are doing the things that we want to do. They knew that if they gave people a way to share these products and earn a little income, that would be the best way to distribute these products in a way that you would get educated. Just like you were invited tonight to learn about these products, you can invite others. And Young Living wants to say thank you. It's a referral fee. They just want to send you a thank you for sharing these products with somebody else. So as you get started with Young Living, don't forget that sharing sharing is caring, right? Sharing these essential oils can also help you to earn a little extra income. And let's face it, we all could use a little bit of that nowadays. And what's interesting is so many people, they never come into Young Living saying, "Oh, I want to build a business." They simply start using the products, learning more and sharing. Now, over time, this could grow into a business for you. It doesn't have to. If you're interested in alternative income, getting an extra source of income, having that multiple sources of income that all of the finance gurus tell us that we should have. If that ever interests you, again, talk to the person who helped you get started and is helping you learn about Young Living and talk to them about that potential because just like everyone's looking for more health in their life, many people are looking for more wealth as well. All right, friends, let me go ahead and stop sharing my screen. Boom. And on that note, I'm actually going to also stop the recording.